Okay, so have you ever watched a relationship and it's like less of a love story and more like one of those nature documentaries?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Like where someone's like clinging to one branch but reaching for the next one,
Right, yeah.
and they only let go when they've got a good grip on that new branch?
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea behind this thing called the branch theory. And today we're gonna dive deep into it.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's fascinating, and sometimes it's uncomfortable.
It is.
It's about how we navigate relationships. So
Yeah, it's a good analogy, isn't it? You know that monkey swinging through the trees,
yeah,
never without a secure hold.
right.
So that's exactly what the branch theory is about.
Yeah,
It says that some people, they approach relationships that same way.
interesting.
They hold on to one relationship
Right.
while they're looking for another one, and they don't let go until that new one is secure.
So it's less about like a strategy or anything, and more about just like an underlying need,
Ex-
a need for security, like a built-in safety net for
Yeah.
your heart.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because it might seem harmless on the surface,
Right.
but it really raises some questions about everybody who's involved,
Yeah, for sure.
like about their emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And so the branch theory kind of suggests that it's more than just this surface behavior.
Mm-hmm.
There are deeper things going on,
That's right.
ecological things and sociological factors.
Yeah. So let's unpack some of that stuff.
Sure.
So the branch theory dives into this idea of attachment theory.
Yes.
And it says someone with an anxious attachment style,
Mm-hmm.
they might be more likely to do this branch swinging.
Right. And it makes sense
Yeah.
because anxious attachment is all about fear of abandonment. So
Yeah.
they really need to avoid being alone.
Right.
And so for someone who has this branch swinging can be a way of coping.
Makes sense.
It's a way to make sure they're always connected to somebody.
Right. Yeah. So it's like that friend who just jumps from one relationship to the next,
Right.
and they just can't even handle being single for a little bit.
Yeah, they can't even imagine it.
They might not even realize they're doing it.
Right.
But it's that fear of being alone.
It's driving them.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not even just about avoiding being alone.
No, it's not.
It's about where they get their sense of self-worth from.
That's right.
Okay.
And so the branch theory links this behavior to being emotionally dependent
Okay.
and codependent.
Right.
It's all about needing that external validation
Yeah.
and needing others to meet their needs.
Okay, so it's like needing like crutches to walk,
Yes.
but you need multiple crutches.
Uh-huh.
And different people are different crutches
Yeah.
for different emotional support.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
So one person might give them a sense of belonging.
Right.
Another person might boost their confidence.
And another might make them feel safe.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's not just about romantic partners. It can be any kind of relationship where they just really need to be connected
Interesting.
because without that, they feel incomplete or inadequate.
Yeah. And so the branch theory also mentions narcissism.
Yes.
So can you tell us about that? How does that play into all this?
Well, narcissists, we all know, they need a lot of admiration.
Yeah, they do.
And they need to feel in control.
All right.
And so branch swinging can give them this constant stream of validation.
Yeah, I guess.
They feel desired and powerful.
Uh-huh.
And so you can just imagine them juggling all these different relationships
Right.
and playing people off against each other just to feed their ego.
And just to feel superior.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
It is. It's disturbing. But,
Uh-oh.
the branch theory talks about the manipulation.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it.
That's where it gets kind of dark.
Yeah. But it's not all about the individual
Right.
and their psychology.
All right. There are also all these societal things that are happening
That's right.
that might be causing this behavior to become even more common.
Absolutely. And the branch theory talks about serial monogamy.
Yeah.
And it suggests that we don't care as much about long-term commitment anymore.
Right. Yeah, it seems like that sometimes.
And it even mentions this guy, Zygmunt Bauman,
Okay.
and his idea of liquid love.
Liquid love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says that relationships today are like commodities.
Hmm.
Like in a consumer society,
Okay.
they're disposable.
Wow.
You can just replace them.
So that's kind of sad.
It is.
It really makes you wonder how much society is shaping how we view relationships.
It really does.
Yeah, it's a big question.
Yeah, and then we have to talk about technology.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This huge elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah.
So,
All the online dating and everything.
yeah, it's definitely changed the way relationships work.
I mean, for sure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So have we basically made branch swinging inevitable?
I mean, you could make that argument.
Yeah.
I mean, with all these apps, you can just swipe and swipe and swipe. Yeah, you have all these potential partners.
Just one swipe away.
Yeah, and you don't even have to leave your house.
Right.
You can hold on to one branch and look for another one.
All at the same time.
Yeah, and it seems like technology has just amplified that basic human desire.
The desire for security.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, like you said earlier, is there any way to deal with this?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
But the good news is that the branch theory doesn't just point out the problem.
Okay, good.
It also has some ideas for how to fix things.
Okay, good.
How to break free.
From this cycle.
Yeah, and have better relationships.
Okay, so we've talked about the why,
Mm-hmm.
all that psychology stuff,
And the sociology.
the societal pressures,
Yeah.
and how tech is making it worse.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about how we can escape
Sure.
this whole branch swinging thing.
Yeah.
From both sides,
Okay,
the monkey and the branch.
let's do it.
So let's start with the person who recognizes this behavior in themselves. They're the monkey, and they want to change.
Right.
What does the branch theory say they should do?
Well, first they have to be self-aware.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they have to recognize what's driving this behavior.
So they have to ask themselves some tough questions.
That's right.
Like, am I just afraid of being alone?
Yeah,
Or am I really trying to connect with someone?
exactly.
Am I using relationships to fill some hole inside myself?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So they might need to journal
Okay.
or go to therapy
Mm-hmm.
or even just talk to some close friends who can give them a different perspective.
Right, yeah.
And the branch theory suggests that they should figure out what their attachment style is.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because if we know that we have that anxious attachment style,
Mm-hmm.
then we can try to change it.
Exactly. We can find better ways to cope.
So instead of relying on other people to feel good,
Yeah.
we need to learn to feel secure on our own.
And find validation from within.
Right. And the branch theory even suggests some therapies.
Like CBT,
Yeah.
cognitive behavioral therapy,
Uh-huh.
or EFT.
Emotionally focused therapy.
Yeah. And that can help with those attachment issues.
Right.
So it's about changing those old thought patterns.
Yeah. And those emotional responses.
Yeah. And that sounds like a lot of work.
It is. It's hard work.
Yeah. But the branch theory says it's worth it.
It really is.
Yeah, because once we have that inner security,
Mm-hmm.
we can have better relationships.
Right. We don't come across as needy.
Yep. And that's good for everybody.
Absolutely. Not just the monkey.
Right. But also the branch.
Yes, because they might not even know what's going on.
Right. So let's talk about the branch.
Okay.
What should they do to protect themselves?
Well, they need to recognize the signs.
Right. And the branch theory has some red flags.
Yes, it does.
So what are they?
Well, they need to pay attention to inconsistencies.
Oh,
Is
okay.
this person hot and cold
Yeah, like pulling you close one day.
and then pushing you away the next?
Yeah.
Do their actions match their words? Right. So it's like they're always checking to make sure that next branch is strong enough
Exactly.
before they let go of the one they're on.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And their communication is really important.
Okay.
Are they always distracted?
Uh-huh.
Always on their phone?
Yeah.
Do they not want to make plans?
Yeah, I see.
Those could be signs that they're keeping their options open.
It's that fear of commitment thing.
Yeah.
They can't just live in the moment.
Right.
They're always thinking about what's next.
And there's often a lack of emotional depth.
What do you mean?
Well, they don't want to open up.
Okay.
They don't want to share their feelings.
Yeah.
And they don't really commit to the relationship.
So they keep their distance.
Yeah, so they don't get too attached.
So they're basically building a wall,
Right.
and then you can't really be intimate.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's sad.
But, the branch theory says you have to trust your gut.
Yeah, that's good advice.
If something feels off,
Right.
if you think they're not being honest, then listen to that feeling.
Right. Because usually our gut is right,
Yeah, it's trying to tell us something.
and we deserve to be someone's priority,
You just do.
not just a backup plan.
You deserve better than that.
Okay, so we've got to recognize our worth
Yes,
and not let people use us as their safety net.
that's right.
But how do we do that?
Well, the branch theory says to set boundaries
Okay.
and tell people what you need
Yeah.
and be upfront about what you expect from a partner.
And don't play games.
Right, just be honest.
And have those hard conversations early on.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we think someone is branch swinging, we have to tell them.
You have to talk to them openly and honestly.
Yeah.
Tell them how their behavior makes you feel.
Right.
And tell them what you're willing to put up with.
Okay, but what if they deny it?
Right,
What
yeah.
if they try to gaslight us?
Yeah.
Make us feel like we're being too sensitive?
Exactly.
The branch theory mentions manipulation.
It does.
And how do we deal with that?
Well, that's where you have to validate yourself.
What do you mean?
Know your worth.
Okay.
Don't let them tell you that you're asking for too much.
So recognize those red flags.
Yes.
and don't play their game.
That's right.
Yeah. And sometimes you just have to walk away.
Sometimes that's the healthiest thing you can do.
Yeah, if they don't respect your needs,
Or if they won't change.
then you just got to let go.
Yeah.
Even though it's scary.
Because you might end up alone,
Right.
but it's better to be alone.
Than with someone who's not good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it makes space for a better relationship.
That's what the branch theory is all about.
It is.
It says that you deserve more
Yeah.
than to be someone's temporary stop.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about finding real connection.
Yeah, with mutual respect.
Vulnerability.
And growing together.
And that's not just a temporary branch.
No, it's a foundation.
A solid foundation.
For a journey together.
That's beautiful.
It is.
And that's something we should all strive for.
I think so.
And there's something else I wanted to mention from the branch theory.
Okay.
This idea that all this behavior,
Yeah.
it often comes from a fear of being vulnerable.
It's true. A lot of people who do this branch slinging, they're terrified of committing.
Yeah.
And of letting their guard down.
Right, because then they could get hurt.
Exactly.
So they always have one foot out the door.
Yeah, they don't fully invest in the relationship.
Right. And that fear of vulnerability can be really deep.
It can.
And they might not even know they're doing it.
Right, they might think they're just being careful.
Yeah. But it's not healthy.
No, it hurts everyone in the end.
Yeah. And so how do we overcome that fear?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
The branch theory says it's a journey.
Okay.
You have to cultivate self-love and practice self-compassion.
Right.
And you have to understand that being vulnerable is not a weakness.
It's a strength.
Exactly.
So if you open yourself up to the possibility of getting hurt,
yeah,
you're also opening yourself up to love and connection.
that's right. It's a risk.
Yeah. But it's worth it.
It is.
But you have to be honest with yourself
Yeah.
and your partner.
And communicate.
Right. Tell them what you're afraid of.
Yeah, and what you need.
And create a space where you can be vulnerable.
Yes, a safe space.
Yeah.
Where you'll be met with empathy and understanding.
Yeah. And it's about trust.
Exactly.
Building trust.
Within yourself.
And with the other person.
Yeah, and that takes time.
It does.
You can't rush it.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, a constant dance.
I like that, a dance.
Yeah, you open up,
Yeah.
you set boundaries,
Right.
you give.
And you receive.
Yeah,
You're vulnerable.
but you know your worth.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's awkward.
Yeah. You
step on each other's toe.
But that's how you learn.
That's right.
So we have to be patient.
With ourselves.
And with each other.
Yeah, because we're all works in progress.
That's true.
And relationships take effort. They do.
And communication.
Yeah.
And a willingness to grow.
Together.
Yes.
And so it's not about finding the perfect branch to cling to.
It's about building a foundation
Yeah.
of trust,
Respect.
vulnerability.
Yeah. Where you can both thrive
Yes.
and grow.
And that's where the magic happens.
It really is.
So instead of
Yeah.
just swinging from branch to branch,
Yeah.
looking for that security, you can build something real.
That lasts.
Exactly.
Okay, so for everyone listening,
Yeah.
if you want to learn more about the branch theory.
We have some great resources.
Yeah, what are they?
Well, the branch theory recommends these books.
Okay.
There's Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller,
Okay.
and A Secure Base by John Bowlby,
Right.
Borderline Conditions and Pathological Narcissism by Otto Kernberg,
Yeah.
Liquid Love by Zygmunt Bauman,
Uh-huh.
Relational Being by Kenneth Gergen,
Okay.
and a classic,
What's that?
The Art of Loving by Eric Fromm.
Wow, that's a lot of books. It is.
But they all sound really interesting.
They go deep into attachment theory, narcissism,
Right.
how society influences relationships,
Right.
and how to build real connections.
So if you're interested in this topic,
Check them out.
yeah, you should definitely read some of these books.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to leave you with this one thought from the branch theory.
Okay.
It says that relationships are not about using people
Right.
to get what you need.
You're not clinging to them because you're afraid.
Exactly.
It's about realizing that real connection
Yeah.
comes from respect,
Uh-huh.
vulnerability.
And growing together.
It's not a temporary branch.
Right.
It's a foundation,
Eventually.
a shared journey.
Yeah. And that's really powerful.
It is.
So don't just swing through relationships.
Build something real.
Yeah. Build something that lasts.
That's right.
And that's what we're all about here.
Absolutely.
So we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the branch theory.
Oh.
But I hope you're walking away feeling hopeful
Yeah.
and empowered.
You deserve to have good relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships that are based on real connection
Mutual respect.
and a desire to grow.
Together.
So let go of those branches
Yeah.
and build something real.
Something that lasts.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into human behavior.
See you then.
Okay, so we talked about the why,
Right.
all those psychological roots
Mm-hmm.
and the societal pressures,
Yeah.
and how tech is kind of like fuel in the fire.
Yeah, it's not helping.
But now let's talk about how we can escape
Yeah.
this whole branch-swinging jungle,
Okay.
both from the perspective of like the monkey and the branch.
Right, both sides.
So let's start with the individual
Okay.
who's like, hey, I recognize this in myself.
Mm.
They're the monkey.
Okay.
They want to evolve.
All right.
What advice does the branch theory give them?
Well, it says that self-awareness is really important.
Okay. This is like looking in the mirror and asking some tough questions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, am I really looking for connection?
Yeah.
Or am I just afraid of being alone?
Right. Am I trying to fill some emptiness inside myself with other people?
Yeah, and sometimes that involves like journaling
Okay.
or therapy
Uh-huh.
or maybe talking to some friends who can give you a different perspective.
Yeah, friends can be really helpful for that.
Yeah, and the branch theory suggests it can be helpful to understand your attachment style.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Oh.
Because if we know we have that anxious attachment style,
Mm-hmm.
then we can start to challenge those patterns.
Yeah, and learn some healthier ways to cope.
Instead of relying on other people to feel okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta find that security and validation from within.
Right. And I know the branch theory mentioned some therapies too.
Yeah, like CBT,
Uh,
cognitive behavioral therapy.
right. And EFT.
Emotionally focused therapy.
And that can help people to kind of work through those attachment issues.
Yeah, it's all about changing those thought patterns.
Right. And those emotional responses that we've gotten so used to.
Exactly.
But that sounds like a lot of work.
It is. It's not easy.
But I guess the branch theory says it's worth it.
It really is.
Because once you find that inner security,
You can show up in relationships in a whole new way.
yeah, you're not so needy.
Exactly. And that's good for everyone.
Yeah. Not just the monkey who's doing the swinging,
Oh.
but the branch too.
Right, because they might not even realize what's going on.
Yeah. So what about the branch?
Okay.
What advice does the branch theory have for the person who might be on the receiving end of this?
Well, the first thing is to recognize the signs.
Yeah, those red flags.
Yeah, the branch theory lays out a few.
Okay. So what are they?
Well, inconsistencies are a big one.
Okay.
Is this person hot and cold?
Like pulling you close one day and then distant the next?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got to ask yourself, do their actions actually match up with their words?
It's like they're always testing that next branch. Yeah. Making sure it's strong enough before they let go.
Exactly.
And then there's communication.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Okay. What should we be looking for there?
Well, are they distracted?
Yeah.
Always on their phone?
Yeah.
Do they seem hesitant to make plans?
Okay.
Those could be signs that they're not fully committed.
Yeah, they're keeping their options open.
Right. They've got that fear of commitment.
Yeah, they can't be present.
All right. They're always looking for the next best thing.
And the branch theory also talks about a lack of emotional depth.
Yeah. Sometimes they just don't want to open up.
Right, they're not sharing their feelings.
And they're not really committing to the relationship on an emotional level.
So they're keeping their distance.
Yeah. They don't want to get too attached.
So it's like they're building a wall to
Yeah.
protect themselves.
Right.
But that prevents real intimacy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough.
It is. But, the branch theory also says that you got to trust your gut.
Oh, yeah. That's so important.
If something feels off.
Right.
If you feel like they're not being honest,
Yeah.
listen to that feeling.
Our gut usually knows what's up.
It does, and it's trying to tell us something.
And it's telling us that we deserve better,
Exactly. You deserve to be someone's priority.
not their backup plan.
You deserve to be number one.
So we got to recognize our own worth
Yes, you do.
and not let people use us as their safety net.
Exactly.
But how do we do that?
Well, the branch theory says to set boundaries.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You got to communicate your needs clearly.
Right. Be upfront about what you expect.
Yeah. Don't play games.
And have those tough conversations early on.
Right.
So if you think someone might be branch swinging,
You got to call them out on it.
you got to say something.
Yeah. Be open and honest.
Tell them how their behavior makes you feel.
Right. And what you're willing to tolerate.
Okay, but what if they deny it?
Yeah.
Or try to gaslight you?
Right.
Make you feel like you're being too sensitive?
Exactly. And that's when you have to validate yourself.
Oh, okay. What does that mean? It means knowing your worth
Yeah.
and not letting them make you feel like you're asking for too much.
So recognize those red flags
Mm-hmm.
and don't play their game.
Exactly.
And sometimes you just have to walk away,
Sometimes that's the healthiest thing you can do.
even though it's hard,
Yeah, it can be scary.
because you might end up alone.
Yeah, but it's better to be alone.
than to be with someone who's not treating you right.
Exactly.
And it creates space for a healthier relationship to come into your life.
That's what the branch theory is all about.
It is. It's about knowing you deserve more.
More than just being someone's temporary stop.
Yeah.
It's about finding a real connection,
With mutual respect
vulnerability.
and growing together.
Yeah, building something that's not just a temporary branch,
But a solid foundation.
for a shared journey.
That's beautiful.
It is.
And you know, there's something else that really struck me in the branch theory.
Oh, what's that?
This idea that all this behavior
Yeah.
often comes from a fear of vulnerability.
It's true. A lot of people who do this branch swinging,
Mm-hmm.
they're terrified of letting their guard down.
Yeah.
They don't want to get hurt.
So they're always holding back a little bit.
Yeah, they don't fully commit.
And that fear can be really deep.
It can be buried way down there.
And they might not even realize they're doing it.
Right. They might think they're just being cautious.
But it creates this dynamic that's
Yeah.
just not sustainable.
It ends up hurting everyone involved.
Yeah, so how do we overcome that fear?
Well, the branch theory says it's not a quick fix.
Right.
It's a journey.
A process?
Yeah, it's about cultivating self-love
Uh-huh.
and practicing self-compassion.
Okay.
And understanding that being vulnerable isn't a weakness.
It's a strength.
Exactly.
So when we open ourselves up to the possibility of getting hurt,
Mm-hmm.
we're also opening ourselves up to love and connection.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
So it's a risk,
It is.
but it's worth taking.
I think so.
But we got to be honest with ourselves and with our partners,
And we got to communicate.
right? Tell them what we're afraid of
Yeah, and what we need,
and create that safe space
where you can be vulnerable.
and where you know you'll be met with empathy and understanding.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's all about trust,
Yeah, building that trust.
both within ourselves,
And with the other person.
and that takes time.
It does. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's like a dance.
Not like a dance.
You open up,
Mm-hmm.
you set boundaries,
Yeah.
you give,
You receive.
but you know your worth.
Sometimes it's going to be a little awkward.
Yeah.
You're going to stumble.
Tip on each other's toes.
But that's part of learning
So we got to be patient
with ourselves
and with our partners.
because we're all works in progress.
That's a good reminder.
And relationships take effort
They do.
and communication.
Yeah.
And a willingness to grow together.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
So it's not about finding the perfect branch to cling to. It's about building a foundation.
Of trust and respect.
And vulnerability.
Yeah. A foundation where you can both thrive
Exactly.
and grow.
And that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah. It's about choosing to do something different, to step out of those old patterns.
Yeah, and write a new story.
For ourselves and for our relationships.
And the branch theory gives us the tools to do that.
It does. It's a good reminder
It is.
that healthy relationships aren't about clinging to someone out of fear.
Or using them to fix our own problem.
Right. It's about building something solid.
Yeah, a foundation of trust and respect.
And vulnerability.
Where you can both grow together.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're walking away feeling hopeful
Yeah, I hope so.
and empowered.
You deserve good relationships.
Yeah.
Ones that are based on real connection
Mutual respect.
and a shared desire to grow.
Let go of those branches
Yeah,
and start building something real.
something that lasts.
Thanks for joining us on this journey
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
into the complexities of